What has CMS done to ensure that any actions are meaningful?
So I guess it's an evolving process, right? As you become more sophisticated and you design a strategy, you start looking at different things, right? Usually, when you start with diversity and inclusion work, you focus on events, but then you get more specific interventions around recruitment, around career progression, etc. And then the ultimate objective, really, to be sure that you're focusing on the right things, is to be able to measure the impact of these things. So, for example, at CMS, we are now at the stage where every single intervention that we design and implement, we have KPIs and metrics associated to them. So we can measure how impactful and what kind of impact we are having with every single interventions and initiative.
What impact have these actions had?
So a very good example of us using KPIs and metrics to measure the impact of what we're doing and making sure we're doing the right thing and we're building on success is our race reverse mentoring program. So we had a bit of a pilot a few years ago. Last year, we ran our first cohort and we're about to launch our second cohort in the next few weeks. And, with impact measurement and focusing on the right thing and building on success. With all of that in mind, at the very start of our first cohort, we started thinking about what do we want to measure and how we're going to measure it. Right. So we had, for example, part of the onboarding process, all the participants fill in like a survey about, for example, how comfortable they are talking about race. Do they think that there are different experiences depending on like the ethnicity that you are, etc. So some examples of the change we've seen in the participants and the impact the program is having. We had like a 20% increase in the level of comfort people are feeling in terms of engaging in conversations about race. The mentees, so the senior leaders who are white, who were mentored by ethnic minority colleagues, 55% increase in their understanding of how the working environment is being experienced differently across race. I mean, this is a huge impact in like having that eye-opening conversation and awareness.
What tips would you give to other organisations looking to achieve meaningful change?
So I think first and foremost, it's understanding what are your challenges? What are the challenges very relevant to your sector and to your organization, right? Because there will be trends, okay, in the working environment, in your field of activity, but it has to be very relevant and pertinent to your organization, right? So what are your key challenges? What are you trying to tackle? Be very clear on your objectives. You could try and tackle a million things, and that's the mistake we all do when we do D&I work, right? It's because actually there's so much to do, but you can't do everything well. So you have to narrow it down. So what are the key priorities? And hopefully you've got senior leader engagement and support and commitment. So it's asking them as well, what is a priority for the business? Aligning that with the business strategy, right? You don't want to be over here with your D&I work. You want to be very relevant to what your company is trying to achieve as a business, because then people make the connection and then you become suddenly a tool, a medium to achieve the ambition of your business. So you're making yourself very relevant.